Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Goes Back to College. This is week number 8, episode number 9 on the Sports Affiliation channel. If you have not done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you enjoy the content that I am putting out, as well as the other Sports Affiliation crew. And then also be sure to leave any comments regarding this video down in the comment section as well. Also, be sure to check out our sponsor, Better Vision. It'll get you all the books kind of all in one place there. Their app is only available for Apple at this point in time, so if you have Apple, be sure to download it. Android version should be coming out very shortly. And then also be sure to check out the Fantasy Football Advice Forum app as well, and you'll get lots of different discussions over there. If you want to talk a little bit of college football, they're probably not going to throw too many eggs at you at that point in time. But if you are joining me for the very first time, this is how I do structure this video. I will go over one prospect to know, one kind of underrated prospect for the week, and then we'll go over to my personal game of the week. This week, it was kind of clear cut which game it was going to be, and then over to my favorite prop of the week. So we are going to start off with our prospect to know for this week. It's going to be Audric. I believe his last name is Estime, but I could be mispronouncing that. Running back for Notre Dame. Comes in at about 5'11" and a half, so almost 6 foot there, 227 pounds, so some pretty good size there. This dude is built like a rock. He's kind of yoked up if you see the pictures of him shirtless. Very impressive there. They do have him projected at 4.5 speed over on Draft Scout, and I don't think he's quite that fast. I think he'll probably run closer to the 4.6s when he does ultimately come out, whether it's going to be this year's draft or next year's draft. He is a former 4-star recruit. He is a true junior. Didn't really play too much in 2022, but that was the big Kyron Williams season. Played in 12 games, had 7 carries at that point in time, 60 yards, 0 touchdowns, didn't have a single reception there. And then last year, as a true sophomore, got most of the backfield to himself, played 13 games in total, 156 carries, 920 rushing yards with 11 rushing touchdowns, a little bit out of the backfield in terms of 9 receptions, 135 yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. And then so far this season, he has 127 carries, 787 yards, 9 touchdowns, 11 receptions for 93 yards. And I believe he's played 7 games at this point in time. I forgot to change that one, so I do apologize for that. So really strong season for him so far. Should break that 1,000-yard rushing mark this season, although he was a little bit short last year. So very exciting news there. When you talk about types of builds, this is a big power back, first of all. Pretty similar size to like a Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, when he came out of college, was listed at 6 foot, 240 pounds, so a little bit lighter than him. Another back that you could look at is Joshua Kelly, who came out of UCLA, about the same height, a little bit less in terms of weight, so kind of somewhere in between those two type of guys. Similar play style to both of them, and kind of the things that he does really well. Obviously, he's got good power. He's got really good contact balance. He's got pretty good vision, especially for a bigger back. He's got pretty good patience for a bigger back as well, able to find the hole. And then something that he does really well for a bigger running back, kind of these bulldozer running backs, he really has shown a good ability to get skinny through the hole, which is something that's quite impressive when you're talking about a guy that's 6 foot, almost 230 pounds. So that is something that I do really like about him. I think he's probably going to be a day 3 pick ultimately, unless, he really has a strong end of the season. But he had a really good game versus USC last week, so that's kind of why we're talking about him this week. Had a really strong second year as a full-time starter. And I think he's going to be an interesting prospect. I'm not sure that he's going to be anybody that comes out and dominates at the NFL level, but he could be a good part of a 1-2 punch. Think like Joshua Kelly of the Chargers, kind of what he's done at the NFL level, but then just kind of boost that up a little bit. And I think that's kind of what we're going to get out of him probably at the NFL level. So maybe a 3rd, 4th round pick in this year's draft or next year's draft, just depending on when he ultimately comes out. If he comes back next year, shows a little bit more athleticism, shows a little bit more speed, which I don't know how much he can really add in that terms, especially with how muscular he is. I think he's kind of maxed out probably in terms of speed at this point in time. But you could always work with a speed trainer, and some of these guys, as they go into the combine and their pro days, they're really able to increase some of that a little bit better as well. So we'll see how that ultimately ends up shaking out for him. Obviously could be a little bit more of a factor in the receiving game. Hasn't been really used too much in that role at Notre Dame, so we can't really say that he's good or bad at it at this point in time. He's pretty decent in pass protection as well. That is something I'll throw out there. He's putting his pads in the right place most of the time when he's asked to block and pass protection. So that is something that I really do like about him. Obviously can be cleaned up a little bit more there, and that's something that every running back has at the NFL level. So that is my prospect to know for this week. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with him the rest of the season and the future in his NFL career as well. And then we're going to get over to the game of the week, and I believe it's College Game Day's game of the week as well. So we got number 7 Penn State, 6-0, going to Ohio State, who is also 6-0, and they're number 3 in the country. At this point in time, Ohio State is 5-point home favorites over under in this game. is 45.5 points. And this game is going to be airing at 11 o'clock Central Time, noon Eastern Time on Fox. So it's going to be a pretty interesting game here. We got a lot of aspects in play. There's going to be a lot of really good players in this game. When you look at the Ohio State side, obviously McCord's played really well at quarterback so far this season. This is kind of like his biggest test so far. That Penn State defense is no joke. They're number 1 in passing yards per game allowed so far this season. And they're playing really well. So they were, if not one of the best defenses, up there in like the top 5 for this season. For Ohio State, obviously, you got wide receivers in Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming out there as well. Cade Stover's actually played really well at tight end as of late. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they got, Tommy Eichenberger that came back as a senior. They got Denzel Burke that's kind of having a resurgent junior year. So a lot of good faces here for Ohio State. And then on the Penn State side of the ball, this is going to be the biggest game probably of Drew Aller's young career. First year starting, played a little bit last year, when Sean Clifford got banged up as well. But going to be pretty interesting here. Obviously, they got Nick Singleton. They got Allen in the backfield as well. Keandre Lambert-Smith, their wide receiver. They got Olu Fashanu, who's going to be probably a top 5 pick on the offensive line as well. And then they got King at cornerback, who's going to have a tough matchup this week going against Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to make for an interesting game. A lot of high-end NFL prospects in this game. This is a game that could very much go one of two ways. Penn State's defense holds tight. It's going to be a pretty close competitive game, and this game probably hits the under. Or, it's Ohio State, and they end up winning by double digits, and Penn State kind of lays the egg, which they've kind of done versus Ohio State in the past. When we look back to what happened last year, Ohio State ultimately ended up winning 44-31, which probably doesn't tell us too much for this year. There's a lot of different players on both these teams. 2 different quarterbacks. That's going to make a very big difference in this game as well. So definitely going to be an interesting one to watch. Hopefully Penn State keeps this game close, and it's going to end up being a pretty good game overall for the week. Probably not one that I'm betting on myself personally, though. And then last but not least, we're going to get over to my prop of the week. So I have Cam Johnson over 31.5 receiving yards. He is a wide receiver for Northwestern. He has played at 3 different colleges throughout his career. So he started off at, I believe, Vanderbilt, then went to Arizona State. And this is his first year with Northwestern, as 6th and final season of college football. Really hard to find a picture of this guy wearing a Northwestern uniform. So had to take a little bit of one that highlighted one of his games, cut him out and everything else like that. When we talk about what's happened on the season to date, so far we're 4-4. Marshawn Lloyd kind of let us down last week. He ended up with 46 rushing yards, only 8 carries. That game kind of ended up being a blowout because Caleb Williams and the USA offense didn't play as well as they could have against Notre Dame. And Marshawn Lloyd, we were looking for at least 74 rushing yards out of him. So that was a little bit unfortunate there. But like I said, this week we got Cam Johnson over 31.5 receiving yards. He has hit the over in all 6 games in 2023. He's going against Nebraska that is allowing 247.2 passing yards or receiving yards per game, which is 87th in the country, which is, about down in the bottom third for 2023. So at this point in time, it looks like a pretty favorable matchup. But with that being said, really do like this prop of the week. Hopefully it brings us back on the winning side. We'll be up to 5-4. Kind of right in the ship. It's been a little bit back and forth year overall. We've had some tough luck here and there, but this is just one prop for the week. If you have any other ones that you do have questions about, feel free to drop it down in the comments or reach out to me on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. Be more than happy to help you over there. But with that being said, that's all that I do have for Coach Goes Back to College for week number 8, episode 9. Once again, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Make sure that you do get subscribed to the Sports Affiliation channel. Also, be sure to check out my personal channel, Coach Craig Sports, for all your DFS needs over there, whether it's NFL, CFL, XFL, USFL, NBA, MLB. Pretty much cover it all in terms of DFS. Once again, make sure that you have that notification bell turned on so you never miss a beat anytime anyone from the Sports Affiliation channel uploads onto this channel. We got live streams going on throughout the week. We got little videos and segments going up. We got stuff coming out on Spotify as well. Evan's been putting up some props over there. Be sure to check out Evan and Iggy for their prop show on Sunday morning. They also did one for Thursday Night Football. They'll probably do one for Monday Night Football as well. So some good prop betting out there. If you are brand new to prop betting or sports betting in general, be sure to check out the links down in the description below for ParlayPlay, BetUs, and PrizePicks. If you use the link or code listed down there, you will get an extra first-time deposit. Helps you guys out a little bit, helps me out a little bit on the side as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly do have for Coach Goes Back to College, week number 8, episode number 9. Do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into this video. I'm sure that the rest of the Sports Affiliation crew does as well. Also, be sure to check out all the great content coming out, whether it's on Twitter or on the YouTube channel once again. But with that being said, hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day, no matter what day you're watching this on. A great weekend overall, and some good luck in college football for week number 8, especially if you're out there prop betting this week.